Hi, and thank you for joining us for our first panel preview, a sneak peek into WPLN's fourth annual National Summit this June. My name is Caitlin Kidd, and I'm excited to host this conversation on behalf of Women's Public Leadership Network, a 501c3 nonpartisan nonprofit working to educate, organize, and inspire women to seek public office at every level across the country and become effective leaders once there. Today, I'm joined by Program Manager for the Master of Arts in Public Leadership Program at the University of San Francisco, a graduate program dedicated to preparing veterans and military family members for a career in politics, policy, or advocacy. Madeline will also be the host of our Veterans in Leadership panel at WPLN Summit this June. Madeline, thank you so much for joining us. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came into your role.
Of course, Caitlin, thank you so much for having me. It's so good to be here now and at the summit in June. Hi, all. I'm Madeline Meininger. I have this awesome job where I get to work with veterans and military spouses who want to continue to serve their communities and country through civic service. I'm currently located in Colorado Springs, where my husband, who is active duty Army, is stationed. And it's a great match for this program because it's hybrid. So much like our students, our staff and faculty are across the country. So I came from a nonpartisan campaign data background, which I loved. I loved immersing in kind of the guts of campaigns. But I really wanted to spend my time on something that felt like it had a little bit more purpose. And civic education means so much to me personally. And I think it's a really critical piece of a healthy democracy with an engaged citizenry. And so when a former professor of mine founded this program, the MA in Public Leadership program at University of San Francisco, which is my alma mater, I was really eager to get involved.
That's awesome. What drew you to work in higher education specifically, especially supporting veterans, women veterans, and family members?
Yeah, so it's so funny in this context. I was actually at this one-day conference about civic engagement. It was kind of random, and I was just having the best time. I was so into it. I had a kind of epiphany that this is what I wanted to be spending my time on. This is what my energy should be going towards. This is what was going to get me to get excited to go to work every day. And so it did take a couple years to kind of make the pivot into this role where I really do get to focus on that. But it's part of why I'm so excited for the summit this June, because I know how powerful these gatherings can be, and they can have impacts that we don't expect. One of the things that's really exciting about being in the higher education context is we have this unique opportunity to spend a long time on this study. It's not a crash course. It's almost 2 years in some cases of getting pretty handy with these hard skills of how you run a campaign, how you do advocacy. But it's also time to discern what a second service looks like for someone, both in the context of the issues you're most passionate about, but also in the realities of what works for someone's family. The veteran piece is, in some ways, for me, was the kind of surprising part of this role. I didn't come into it with a really strong connection to the military community. My grandfather was an Army officer in the 50s, as a lot of people of our generation. That's kind of the strong connection. But it has been such a privilege to, kind of on a macro level, learn about national security through the lens of practitioners. And then on a personal level, get to know veterans who have a lot of differences, right? Different hometowns, different experiences, different beliefs, but are united by this one really essential shared experience and a value set. And that gives the military and veteran community so much power. And now I'm a part of it. I'm married into it. And it's such an honor to get to serve this community that I'm a part of.
That's awesome. And what a great opportunity. I can tell your passion just from talking with you a little bit from where we talked before. And now you're so passionate about this. And I think that's great. And speaking of that, why do you think it's so important that veterans specifically have a seat at the table when it comes to these decision-making roles, and specifically female veterans? Why is it important for them to have a role at the table?
Great question. So veterans have experienced the consequences of decisions that elected officials make in a really acute way, whether it's housing quality or pay and benefits to these potentially, making huge sacrifices for our country. And the average American does not have the insights that come from those experiences and the lessons that come from them. And so that is of tremendous value at policymaking tables. Within that, women in the military have a kind of different subset of experiences, and that voice also absolutely needs to be at that decision-making table.
Yeah, for sure. And would you say there's a specific skill set or unique experience that you think set them apart for this role?
Totally. So there's kind of an internal piece, and then there's kind of the external piece, right? So internally, in 2025, for the past several decades, our military in the United States has been an all volunteer force. So everyone who's in the military stepped up, volunteered to be there, made the choice to take on those sacrifices, take on that burden for their community, for our country. So already they know what it is to step up, to be part of something bigger than themselves for other people. That's something we want to see in our elected officials. In the military, it's a crash course in leadership and decision making from a pretty young age, right? You have people in their teens, early 20s with a lot of authority and power in some situations. And so they've honed that skill and had a lot of practice in it. Again, there's a commitment to service that we see in veterans, leaders who are thinking beyond themselves, who are committed to the people standing next to them and to their country. And that is absolutely something we need in our civic spaces. I think there's also something about getting into the military in different settings, especially in some of the kind of special operator spaces where you're used to looking at long odds. You're used to saying, that's hard, I can do it. And so that resilience and that toughness really prepares people well for running for office, because those are long days and long odds and can be really discouraging. And so having the fortitude to get through that, get past that, is something that veterans have done, have practiced, and can bring that to public leadership. There's also a piece of understanding huge bureaucracies, right? Whatever branch you are, Army, Air Force, Navy, Marine Corps, Space Force, Coast Guard, you've navigated a bureaucracy, your family has. And then once you get into kind of the VA veteran world as well, you're understanding these government systems. And that comes with having a healthy respect, but also some skepticism, right? And so bringing in a willingness to work with a system, but also hold it accountable, makes for some really practical leaders. So I also want to talk about some of the external appeals that veterans bring to campaigns. And because I come from a university, I have slides, guys. It's not a full-on lecture, just a mini one. So one of the things that voters see in a veteran is this automatic national security credibility. An electorate will hear that someone's a veteran and already feels like they know where they stand on defense and national security, and they trust their authority on it. And that's a huge step up, right? Being able to come into a campaign and already be trusted is a huge advantage. And part of that advantage is this integrity. The military in the United States is one of the most trusted institutions, and that kind of trickles down to those who are affiliated with the military, active duty service members, veterans. And where we get some tension in the political setting is politicians, Congress specifically, are some of the least trusted institutions in our country. And so coming into this space that doesn't have a lot of trust with this automatic trust is a real advantage. There is a tension as someone kind of starts to be seen less as a veteran and more as a politician, where that trust can wane. And that's something to kind of be aware of as you're getting into this public leadership space, understanding one's appeal to voters, understanding how to frame themselves. But the first step, there's definitely an advantage there. And that's that, military service is conveying integrity and leadership. And that is such a good foundation to start a campaign and build a public profile in your community. So, of course, I want to talk a bit about the women veteran experience as well. I want to start by saying this is a time of growth and excitement for women veterans holding and seeking public office. This graph is a look at women who have been major party nominees for House seats, U.S. House seats, over the past 25 years. Prior to 2013, only 3 women veterans had ever held a seat in Congress.
Wow.
In the history of the U.S. Congress, right?
Wow.
In the history of women being in Congress, which is slightly shorter, but that number is now 9 in the current Congress, and the number of women being nominated has grown tremendously as well. One of the things about being a woman veteran is the kind of veteran status counters some of the biases that women candidates can face in general. Nobody questions the toughness or the strength of a woman who has served in combat. And those kind of baseline assumptions of leadership and integrity that benefit male veterans, absolutely benefit women as well and can be even more impactful.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, here at WPLN, we are definitely trying to advance the voices of women in politics and leadership roles across the board. And specifically, we care a lot about diversifying the type of voices that are in office, female and male. So I think it's awesome what y'all are doing and the tremendous progress that's been shown here, especially in this example. How does your program at University of San Francisco specifically address common maybe challenges or pitfalls that they might come across, especially coming from that background?
Yeah, so we have on this slide some of the most common pitfalls that veterans face when running for office. And this has certainly informed a lot of our curriculum and how we frame our preparation for pursuing office. So one of the things that is most common and often an accident is misrepresenting a service record. So, and one of the things that's so bad about it is it negates that underlying assumed integrity of a candidate when it seems that when it is perceived that they may have lied or inflated their experience. And it can be tricky. You don't always actually know what your service record says, right? So making sure that as a candidate, you have a really solid understanding of what is on the official record, and then making sure that your staff, your volunteers, your consultants also understand what it means and understand the kind of intricacies of military jargon so they don't accidentally misrepresent it. Another thing that happens a lot with veterans who are interested in running for office is that they are recruited or asked by a local party to run for a seat that they cannot win. It is seen as a kind of safe placeholder for the party. You have a respected candidate, someone who you can trust, someone who will make the party look good, and also they may not know politics quite well enough to realize they can't win. They may think that being a veteran will give them an advantage that previous candidates didn't have. And, it can help to just get your name on a ballot at some point. You can build name recognition, you can build goodwill with the party, which you can then leverage or use as a jumping off point for future opportunities. So it's not necessarily a bad idea, but it is something to be aware of so you can make a conscious choice about if that's something you want to do. Kind of breaking off of that kind of overconfidence that sometimes comes with the perception of veterans in politics. Sometimes candidates and their staff think that just saying you're a veteran is going to win a seat. It's not. It can get you started at, a step above others. It's going to get more media coverage. It'll have you be taken a little bit more seriously. There's that integrity again that comes through, but candidates aren't going to win elections based on one piece of their story alone. Ultimately, on election day, people vote for the person who aligns with their own interests for that seat. And that's what a campaign really needs to be about, not about your history or your military service. These last 2 points have some things in common, really making sure that you're not misusing your military experience to improperly benefit your campaign. So the DoD actually has a directive that provides guidance on the use of photos of candidates in uniform. It's pretty straightforward, kind of. Can't be the primary graphic, cannot inaccurately portray your service, needs to include a disclaimer that the DoD is not endorsing you. As far as the inappropriate campaigning, you can't engage in political activity in general while on active duty. So for those who are reservists and running for office, if you're activated, if you're drilling at annual training, you cannot engage in campaigning. Both of these things can be a little fuzzy sometimes. Neither are uniformly enforced, and they're not really legal issues in general. They're more PR issues. So they can be a little hard to navigate, but this is one of the things that's really veteran specific that we try to offer guidance on to, maintain that that integrity and kind of avoid pitfalls that you don't have to step into. So we've seen all of these things play out over the last 15 to 20 years. And it's really, like I said, informed our curriculum. We're talking about how do you analyze a race? How do you do the math that undergirds a campaign to assess viability, figure out who you have to talk to? And that's also, connecting research, whether it's self-research, opposition research, to polling, to messaging, to understand the right levers to pull to convince the right people in your community to vote for you. So that's really the central piece of the program. We also plug into this network of veterans who have run for office on all levels to mixed success, and learn from them. One of the things that I appreciate about this program is that it's hybrid. So our students are all over the country. So this is really a national network of veterans, military family members, others who have served in other ways, who are, discerning what their next service is going to look like and taking classes together.
What an amazing resource, especially that hybrid thing that you're mentioning that allows it to be accessible to so many people. So that's awesome. Anybody who's listening who, might come from a military background or is a veteran who is considering this second service, what are some factors they should consider before starting that? Like, what are some of those things they need to keep in mind?
Yeah, to start, we hear often people are like, I got out a few years ago. I'm doing, I'm launching the second career. It's going well, but I'm not feeling that sense of fulfillment of purpose anymore. Heed that call to serve. It is real. That fulfillment is important. You are not alone in that. Listen to it, pursue it. It's great. And it is completely possible to continue to pursue that service. And listening to your own expertise is important. Being ready to listen and learn from others is also going to help you succeed. One kind of specific piece of the military experience is, you probably haven't been in your hometown for the past 20 years. You may have been living in a lot of different places, not always of your choosing. And so the relationship you have with the place you are running matters. It's navigable. There are ways to talk about it, but it is something to keep in mind and be prepared to handle it when it comes up.
That's really good advice. Do you have any other advice that you would give somebody who's looking to leverage their skills in that new role?
Yeah, other than seek out training with WPLN and MA in public leadership and these other great programs, I think I would just reiterate that as incredible as someone is, having done things that other humans would pale in the face of, voters decide what elections are about. And again, military service provides a really solid foundation for a candidate. But understanding the electorate, understanding how you can connect your strengths with what they care about for the seat you're running for is critical to winning an election.
Yeah, that's so important. Going forward, what are you most excited about that's going on with your current role? What sort of impact do you hope that your program is going to have on the military community?
Yeah, we're growing. It's exciting to see ways that students and alumni collaborate and support each other. Ultimately, we want to see more veterans and military family members, women veterans running for office, being engaged in advocacy. One of the really exciting collaborations we saw amongst students was a military spouse advocate talking with a student who works for a member of Congress and figuring out ways to change some of the language around like food support for military families because hunger is actually a really big issue in the military community. And so seeing more collaborations like that can have really real world impacts on people's lives is something that I really hope we see more of in the future.
Yeah, that would be so exciting. And I know there's a deadline coming up for the program. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so right now we're accepting applications for the fall 2025 cohort. Our website is up on the screen. You can also reach out to us at our email address, mapl@usfca.edu. All applications received by that May 1st deadline will be automatically considered for full tuition scholarships. We know public service is not a lucrative field, so we really want to support students in getting started debt-free. I'm also really looking forward to the WPLN Summit in June. I'm going to be sitting down with my colleague Seth Lynn and the absolutely amazing Phyllis Wilson. And I am so excited to hear more from her about her 37-year Army career, which is incredible. And now how she highlights the importance of women's service in the military through her leadership at the Military Women's Memorial. I'm really looking forward to that.
That's awesome. And we're looking forward to it as well. So thank you so much for joining us, Madeline. We're so excited to have you in June for our Veterans in Leadership panel. Like you said, it'll be with Veterans Campaign founder Seth Lynn and President of the Military Women's Memorial, Phyllis Wilson. Tickets are on sale now, so be sure to get your tickets to anyone who's watching. Our summit is an opportunity to network with other women leaders and gain insights from high-profile speakers from across the country. Be sure to visit our website at womenspublicleadership.net/national summit. We'll also put the link in the chat below, as well as the email for your program, Madeline. To stay connected with WPLN and stay up to date on our current programs, including our new Tips from the Trail podcast, follow us at WPLN Network and on all platforms. Thank you again, Madeline, for joining us, and thank you to everyone for tuning in.
Thanks so much, Caitlin.